because of how popular scary stories are here on the channel, I try to find some particularly creepy ones. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and maybe get a little bit scared. We begin with Legend of the Killer in the Backseat. If you live in the United States or Canada, you may have heard of the urban legend The Killer in the Backseat. I remember hearing this one when I was a kid, though I couldn't say precisely when or who told me it initially. It's about what the title says, a killer in the backseat, also sometimes called high beams. The story goes like this. A woman left work late at night and took her usual route home along a dark, deserted highway. She stopped at a gas station to grab a coffee and fill up the tank on the way. After a brief stop, she hopped back in her car and resumed her drive home. A minute later, she noticed a car coming up behind her in her rearview mirror. The car began to flash its headlights and swerve. She didn't recognize the vehicle, and a little afraid she sped up to try and lose the car. The car kept up with her and put its high beams on. The woman kept speeding up, searching for anywhere she could stop for help. There were no houses, no stores, and not even a turnoff. The car behind her lurched, ramming her rear bumper. Fearing for her life, she floored it, speeding away from the dangerous car behind her. After a short while, she left the dark, deserted highway and turned onto a well-lit city road. The car that had been following her couldn't manage to keep up as she weaved around the city streets. When she arrived home, she ran to her front door, rushed inside, and slammed the door behind her. She peeked out the window and found the car had been chasing her, was pulling into the driveway. A man exited the vehicle, looked straight at her through the window, and began to yell, "Call the police." The woman, confused, stared at the man. He kept frantically waving and yelling at her to call the police. Suddenly, the back door of her own car opened. A man in a long black coat stepped out with an axe. Before she knew what happened, the man yelling at her to call the police was resting in bloody pieces on the pavement. The next day, the woman was found dismembered in her own home. The killer in the backseat was never found. That's one version of the urban legend anyway. I still don't understand how anyone would know what happened when both witnesses died and the murderer vanished. Another version is essentially the same, only the woman finds a killer in the backseat while she's still driving, and the car chasing her flashes its high beams to startle the killer as he's trying to murder her with an axe. In yet another version, the woman stops at the gas station, and the attendant asks her to come inside to fix a problem with her credit card. While inside, the attendant warns her that a man with an axe is in her backseat. But did any of this actually ever happen? Spoiler, yes. Check your back seats, especially if it's night time right now and you're in your car. Here's a news article from 1991 about the killer in the backseat urban legend, claiming that the story had been circulating for decades. The author, Jan Harold Brunvand, cites news clippings from March 1990 and another from 1935 that share some similarities to the urban legend. If that's true, then the urban legend is quite old. how long cars have been around. The article from 1991 isn't the oldest reference I found to this legend. There might be ones even older, but the earliest one I uncovered was in Indiana Folklore magazine, published in 1968 by India University's Research Centre for the Language Sciences. Yes, I mean, I don't know about you, but I somewhat always check my back seats anyway, not because I think there's going to be an axe-wielding murderer in the back, but I don't know, let's say for example that I go to the cinema and the movie finishes super late. Sometimes I'm like, what if a homeless person decided to sleep in the back of the car? It might be silly, but hey, maybe one day I'll avoid the man in the back seat. Now we have the Gurning Man of Glasgow. The Gurning Man of Glasgow. Gurning Man of Glasgow is an urban legend from the 1970s that may well have been invented by the internet. MJ Steele Collins looks at whether there's any truth in the legend. So, for the urban legend, Glasgow is an ideal environment. Glaswegians are renowned patter merchants, and wacky tales form a part of that. You just need to look at the stand-up routine of Sir Billy Connolly to see the proof in the pudding. One weird tale told about Glasgow, reeking with all the traits of a good urban legend, is a complex affair. It has led to questions whether it actually happened. So the story goes that the Gurning Man of Glasgow was a bizarre figure seen by terrified female witnesses between the hours of 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. around Cross Hill from 1976 to 1979, and then later in the early 2000s in adjacent Queen's Park. If anything, the tales seemed like spring-heeled Jack stories of the early 19th century. They do feature a terrifying being going out of its way to torment unsuspecting women. The Gurning Man purportedly stalked the south side of Glasgow, an area made up of a very mixed demographic. As one local informed me, it has both posh big houses and your average Glasgow tenement and council housing, with the varied population to go with that. So, a pair of teenage girls heading home from a party were the first to see the Gurning Man of Glasgow. Despite it being very late, the streets were well lit by the moon. Ahead of them, they saw the strange, agitated figure. He appeared to be a man in his 50s, wearing a black leotard, nervously moving about under a streetlight. The sight scared both girls, and they ceased talking as they tried to pass the figure quickly. From the side of their eyes they saw the man's face, caught in a contorted sort of pained, smiling grimace. To add to the creepiness, the man was also making a strange grunting, snorting noise. The girls started running. One looked behind to check they weren't being followed, and the figure was gone. There was no way he could have run off that quickly. The witnesses were so scared they contacted the police. The police said they had received other reported sightings of a similar figure. A few nights after this incident, in a house less than 100 meters away from where it occurred, a woman was woken by a bizarre snorting noise. At first, she thought it was her husband snoring strangely, but she soon realized it was coming from the end of her bed, and a feeling of terror descended on her. She looked towards the end of the bed and saw a horrific male figure standing there, rubbing his chest and smirking. On catching catching the man's eye, the woman screamed, waking her husband, who ran to slap on the light, and there was no one there. A third incident relating to the Gurning man of Glasgow occurred when a woman putting her used milk bottles out for collection caught sight of a man in tight-fitting dark clothing, looking like he was jogging on the spot in the middle of the road. The figure rapidly vanished, leaving the woman scared and alarmed. A total of 17 sightings were said to have been reported. 11 of these were street sightings and 6 within private homes. Each describes a man in his 50s moving in an agitated manner, clad in dark clothes and being skinny and bald, who would seemingly melt into the air. Police chalked the indoor sightings to interrupted burglaries. Several theories abound as to what the figure was, from a ghost to a mentally ill and or homeless person to a being from a parallel universe. And as the 21st century brought the return of the Gurning man, 2 sightings of the Gurning man were apparently reported in 2017. In the first, a woman living in the Queen's Park area next to Cross Hill was heading home after seeing some friends when she saw a strange figure standing between a parked van and car. She described him as a spindly old man wearing tight dark clothes with a neckline that almost revealed his nipples. She only saw him when within a few feet of the man. He then started making strange noises, rubbing his chest and loudly snorting and groaning. She placed him at between 70 and 90 years old. A group of teenage girls made a further sighting within Queen's Park itself. They were sitting when one saw a strange movement in the bushes. She pointed this out to her friends, one of whom shone their mobile phone torch in the area, and they saw the Gurning man, fitting the classic description and characteristic behaviour. The girls ran away. I guess my only issue I have with that is, it's a legend, so ultimately it doesn't need debunking, right? But once you hear that a couple of people have reported it, more people are gonna come forward, kind of, right, for like a little bit of attention in a way, so, but still creepy. Third urban legend is Teke Teke. I think I covered this on an urban legend video from well over a year, maybe even 2 years ago now, because I remember the creepy picture on this website, but I'm going to reshare it with you. So, Teke Teke is a ghost who appears in a number of urban legends. Teke Teke are almost always women. She has no lower half. She runs about on her arms, creating the distinctive Teke Teke sound from which she gets her name. Teke Teke chases its victims down dark roads. Despite having no legs, a Teke Teke can run incredibly fast. So fast, in fact, that it can even catch up to victims who are speeding away in cars. That's a big no from me. When it catches them, something terrible happens. The legends are not always clear what. In some variations of the story, Teke Teke carries a sickle. It slices its victims in half at the waist and steals their legs. So what's the origin? Like with most urban legends, there are so many versions of the Teke Teke story that it is impossible to know what the original story was or where it began. Every locality has its own version with different details. In some stories, the Teke Teke was the victim of a tragic accident. In others, it was suicide. In some stories, certain magic charms can protect you from its wrath. In others, nothing can protect you and you will certainly die. In some versions, the Teke Teke's victims become Teke Teke themselves. There are a number of threads in common between many of the variations, and the most common ones point towards a woman from Hokkaido named Kashima Reiko. So the legends. In the years after World War II, an office worker in Mururan, Hokkaido was assaulted and essayed by American military personnel. That night she leaped off a bridge onto the railroad tracks and was hit by the oncoming train. The impact was so forceful that her body was torn in half at the waist. The severe cold of the Hokkaido night caused her blood vessels to contract and prevented her from bleeding out quickly. Instead, she squirmed and wriggled about for help for several minutes. She crawled all the way to a train station and was seen by an attendant. Instead of trying to help her, the station attendant just covered her with a plastic tarp. She died a slow, agonizing death. According to legend, 3 days after hearing this story, you will see the ghost of a woman with no lower half. There you go. You're welcome. Keep your eyes peeled. The ghost is that of the woman hit by the train. The ghost will try to catch you, and escape is impossible even in a car. The ghost can crawl at speeds of up to 150 kilometers per hour. Some say the ghost is searching for her legs, which were lost when she was cut in half. Others say that she is angry at humanity for not helping her when she was dying, and that she is simply out to slaughter as many people as she can. When she catches you, she will tear you in half and steal the lower half of your body. Shortly after hearing the legend, she will ask you a riddle either in a dream or in a mysterious phone call. The only way to escape death is to answer her questions exactly the right way. She will ask you, "Do you need your legs?" You must reply, "I need them right now." Then she will ask you, "Who told you my story?" You must reply, "Kashima Reiko." Ka as in mask, she as in death, ma as in demon, Rei as in ghost, and go as in accident. If you answer her riddles without mistake, she might just let you live. Teke Teke. Very creepy, although her name reminds me of that song by Selena Gomez and J Balvin. Our next urban legend is the green-clawed beast of the Ohio River. Every time I learn something about the 1950s, it adds to my already bizarre image of it. The second Red Scare was in full swing in the United States, and its effects appeared everywhere, like in science fiction novels. By the mid-1950s, there was a huge ongoing UFO craze, leading into the space race between the US and the Soviet Union. The last of the Universal Classic monsters had debuted in Creature from the Black Lagoon, and Florida was panicking from stories of a killer pink cloud. It's strange to think that in a few decades people dealt with World War I, the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, World War II, the Korean War, the start of the Vietnam War, and the beginning of the end of segregation. All that, of course, is a US-centric perspective because we're about to head over to a little town called Evansville, situated on the Ohio River in southwestern Indiana. It was there in Evansville back in 1955 that a woman had a bizarre and almost fatal encounter with a creature still talked about today. So, the story of Naomi Johnson. In the hot summer of 1955, in Evansville, Indiana, Mrs. Naomi Johnson took her 3 children and a friend named Mrs. Lamble to the Ohio River. They all hoped for refuge from the sweltering day in the cool river water. It was a popular place to visit for both locals and tourists alike. Naomi and Mrs. Lamble headed into the relatively calm waters, while the kids relaxed on the shore. Mrs. Lamble brought a big black rubber inner tube because she wasn't a strong swimmer. Naomi, on the other hand, was perfectly comfortable in deep waters. They stayed close to shore, only venturing out about 15 feet, and within minutes something brushed Naomi's leg. Without warning, Naomi felt a powerful grip around her knee. It felt like a giant, hairy, clawed hand was on her. It dragged her underwater as she kicked and screamed to escape its grasp, while Mrs. Lamble watched in horror. Naomi somehow managed to break free, resurfacing and gasping for air. As she reached Mrs. Lamble's inner tube, the beast struck again, dragging Naomi underneath the murky water. Mrs. Lamble screamed, paddling around in the water as she searched for Naomi. Again, Naomi managed to escape the beast's grasp and got her head above water. This time she made it to Mrs. Lamble's inner tube, and when she grabbed it, a loud rubbery thump echoed out. Evidently, the sound startled the creature into leaving the area. The two struggled together and made it back to shore. Naomi's leg was covered in deep scratches when they finally emerged from the water, and bruises were already forming all over Naomi. The most bizarre finding on shore was that Naomi's leg had a large handprint stained green on her skin, where the beast had grabbed her. Naomi went to the hospital for treatment, and her story was published in a local paper the next day. After it hit the paper, some other local residents came forward and claimed they'd seen a silver disc floating over the Ohio River in the same area that day. That's where the story seemed to end for a while, until the Johnson family came forward again a time later. They said that a colonel in the US Air Force paid them a visit at their home and interviewed them all about Naomi's encounter. When the colonel finished questioning the Johnsons, he told them in no uncertain terms to never speak to anyone of her encounter ever again. So, it's a bit like a riddle really. What's strong enough to drag an adult woman underwater, hangs out in the Ohio River, and leaves a green handprint on its attempted murder victims? Skeptics and cryptozoologists alike have come up with theories on it. Let's take a look at a few possible explanations. 1. It's an amphibious reptilian monster. 2. It's an alien. 3. It's a furry. Wait. To actually feel a furry grip on your leg underwater, the hand/paw doing the gripping would have to be unusual compared to known species. Take for instance beavers. From what I can tell, they do in fact have fur on the inside of their paws, but it's very short. Yes, surely a beaver isn't dragging somebody underwater. And another explanation, it's a catfish or a gar. So, I mean, is that really an urban legend? I mean, I guess it is, because they never found it and whatnot, but I thought urban legends often had to have like a deeper meaning or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting confused a little bit. And we're now going to finish with this one. The elevator game. South Korea's creepy urban legend. Have you ever heard of the elevator game? It's one of Korea's spookiest scariest urban legends. If played correctly, it's said to transport you to another eerie dimension. This urban legend has gained a lot of popularity over the years. Where did it come from and how do you play? Tracking down the origins of the elevator game is not an easy task. There's a lot of debate about where it began. Most people believe it originated in South Korea or Japan. Either way, it's definitely linked to South Korea often, and it has grown in popularity there as well. Dating back to the early 2010 years, this game's fame expanded thanks to internet forums like Reddit and horror-based websites. As social media grew, the urban legend spread even more. The story of the elevator game is deeply unsettling and creepy. It's important to be very clear that the elevator game is just an urban legend. It would be quite unlikely that an elevator to another world exists. And of course, it's just as unlikely that anything horrible would happen to someone who played it. That being said, this story is very spooky. It is tied to mysterious and supernatural events. It comes with a lot of very specific warnings. So play only if you dare. The basic rules for playing the game: number 1, you must play alone. This is not a group effort. You can not bring your best buddy or your partner for backup. Number 2, the building you choose must be at least 10 stories high. Number 3, speak to no one. No one. If anyone joins you, do not complete the game. Stop immediately and leave the building. There is one exception, the 5th floor, but more on that later. Number 5, if you feel uncomfortable at any point, stop. Leave the building without speaking to anyone. Make this decision before you arrive at the 10th floor or it may be too late. Number 6, be very sure of where you are at all times. So you can begin this game at any time. It really doesn't matter if it's day or night, however you need to do this alone. Night is often preferred. It just helps cut down the chances that someone will get on at any floors. Keep accurate track of where you are. Memorize the steps of the game. Consider writing them down on a piece of paper to keep in your pocket in case you become disoriented. So, here's the step-by-step guide to playing the elevator game. Maybe we should do it for an ASMR video. Number 1, go into the building you have chosen. Remember, it needs to be at least 10 stories tall, with an elevator that reaches up all 10 floors. Press the up button to bring the elevator to you. Avoid pressing a down button. Before getting on, make sure no one else is in the elevator with you. If somebody is already on it, don't get on. Step back and wait for the next one. The same goes for anyone in the lobby. Do not get on with anyone, even a stranger. This is why the ritual is frequently done at night when it's quieter. Once you get on, press the button to go up to the 4th floor. Do not get off at the 4th floor. Stay on the elevator. Press the button to go down to the 2nd floor. Do not get off on the 2nd floor. Stay on the elevator. Press the button to go up to the 6th floor. Do not get off at the 6th floor. Stay on the elevator. Press the button to go down to the 2nd floor again. Do not get off on the 2nd floor. Stay on the elevator. Press the button to go up to the 10th. Do not get off on the 10th floor yet. Stay on the elevator and press the button to go down to the 5th floor. After you arrive on the 5th floor, a young woman may or may not get in the elevator with you. If no one does, don't worry. The elevator game is still occurring. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I ran up the stairs because my doorbell went. However, if a young woman does get on the elevator with you, do not look at her. Do not speak to her. first floor. Once you press the button for the first floor, there are two possible outcomes. If the elevator begins to go down to the first floor, then the elevator game ritual has failed. There is no specific reason as to why it will fail or succeed, even if you followed all the rules. If it fails, do not attempt the game again right now. Get off on the first floor. Do not look back regardless of whether the woman embarked on the 5th floor. Do not speak to anyone around you. Exit the building immediately and leave the area. Go home or out, but don't go back in. Wait for another day to try again. If, however, the elevator ignores you and rises to the 10th floor, the elevator game ritual has succeeded. Remember, if you have changed your mind, you must act now. You can end the ritual by pressing any other button except 1 or 10. Do not panic by repeatedly pressing 1 to descend. It won't work. You need to cancel the elevator's rise before you pass the 9th floor. Once you've passed the 9th floor, it's too late. At that point, you'll have to see it through and hope for the best. The elevator game's 10th floor, other world. Once you arrive at the 10th floor, the doors will open. Unlike all the other floors, you have a choice here. You can either stay on the elevator or you can get off. If the young woman got on at the 5th floor, she may ask you where you are going when you exit. Again, I must reiterate, do not answer her questions. Do not turn and look back at her. In fact, do not acknowledge her in any way. If you have gotten off the elevator, you are free to look around, but do not lose track of which elevator you used if there is more than one. The urban legend says that you will know you are truly in another world based on a few details. The biggest clue that it worked is this: you are the only person there. Everything else will look normal, but no one else will be there. Not even the woman from the elevator. 2 other factors will likely indicate you are in another world. 1, it will be dark. No lights will be on at all, even if they should be. There will be nothing more than a faint red glow. And also you will see a red cross glowing in the distance when you look out the windows. You will see nothing else but the cross out there. If you brought your phone, it may or may not work. Some tellings of the legend say that electronic devices won't function here. So if you try to take photos, video, or make a call, it may not work. Others will say that they do work. Besides the darkness and the lack of other humans, other strange things may happen. Time may move at an unusual pace in the world. You may also become disoriented. It's very important to not forget which elevator you took. The only way back to your own real world is to return in the same elevator that brought you here. After spending a little bit of time exploring the other world, you need to return home. Number 1, if you had not exited the elevator, you can simply begin following the steps to return home from step 3. If you did leave the elevator, make your way back carefully. Once you're in the right elevator, press the button to go down to the 4th floor. From here you will retrace the same steps you took to visit the alternate world. Press the button for the 2nd, then the 6th, the 2nd, the 10th, then the 5th, and finally the 1st floor. More than likely the elevator will begin to rise instead of descending. Cancel this immediately by pressing any other floor besides the 1st or 10th. Now you should be going down to the 1st floor. Take precautions before leaving the elevator. Upon arriving on the 1st floor, you may be tense and have the urge to race out of the building, but resist this urge. Before you get off, observe the area outside the elevator and make sure everything seems normal. If anything seems even the slightest bit strange, do not get off elevator on the first floor if you are absolutely positive that things look correct. If you exit the first floor and you're not at home, well, you're out of luck. You'll probably never return to home ever again. Oh, my stomach is rumbling with excitement. Does anyone else really want to go and give this a go? To be honest, no, not really at all. I know it's probably just a legend. Let me know in the comments if you've given this a go. Wasn't there, I think I've covered it as a true crime video, the story of Elisa Lam, where there was footage of her coming in and out of an elevator, seemingly going like mental, and then she died but was found in like a water tank that you can't open from the outside. So, and one of the theories was that she played the elevator game and it went wrong. So, who knows, but that is going to do it for tonight's video. I hope you found it interesting, scary, and of course, relaxing. If you did enjoy this video and you're able to, then please give it a like and subscribe if you're new. But until the next video, everybody,